Faceless Neil is all about feeling misunderstood and finding your place in the world through a journey where part of the character's identity has been taken away from him. He has to find a way to break his curse. He's going to have to learn confidence and the true meaning of friendship and trust, as well as the importance of honesty and kindness. And ultimately, Neil is a story about acceptance and coming together. The show being dark and fantastic, I felt like stop motion animation is the perfect fit. Everything has to be handmade and craft. That gives it a look for me that's very unique, and I think that will fit perfectly the world of Faceless Neil. So sets will have to be designed upon approval of the storyboard, and the world we are building is very colorful, spooky, but very warm at the same time. Not everybody has to be in the same room. In that sense, like already isolation when you're an animator. So I think it's actually very fitting for the world we're going into right now.
Hey, it's Brian Hames. I was the set designer for Faceless Neil. Pretty much Noella would give me drawings or samples of storyboards, her designs. And, we knew what the scale was for the world that she was trying to build. And my job was basically to build these sets in miniatures and have them not look brand new, but look like someone had lived there, and have them have a patina like they were, well worn and used. I guess it's a small stop motion community, so she had heard of me, and we were introduced through mutual friends. Initially, we have conversations. Noelle and I would look at her drawings, and I would sort of pick her brain about like what is in the script and what is the action, like what is the prop or background, whether it's the environment, how is the character interacting with it, what does it need to do, how often are we going to be in it, how many different angles. So a lot of cases we had to make removable walls and have it be modular in a way that she could take it apart and also put it back together for shooting. So it's probably initial conversations was just in person, looking at physical artwork that Noella had created, and then me saying, well, these are some of the materials I want to use. And basically, she would go away and I would sort of work on getting these things realized. And, I would show her photographs or, camera tests or whatever, and then get her input and sort of refine and deliver. But it was probably, 2.5 to 3 weeks for all of the fabrication that I did. It's actually pretty good, to work in isolation these days. And, that's a pretty good advantage for right now, what we're all dealing with, that we can work separately, but then the work comes together on screen.
And I really loved her character design, and they were just fun to make and to pose and look right. Manny has all of his pronunciations, all of his facial expressions are separate heads, completely separate heads. And so I needed to make his body and then create a system where she could animate replacing head after head after head to get the dialogue to work. And both are really fun characters and very different characters. So it's interesting when you have two characters that don't look like they belong in the same world, but you find a way of marrying them together that feels natural. The designs for the characters already existed, but even still, you can take those same design and give it a whole different range of looks. And so you have to go through that exploration process. So in the beginning, Noella and I did an awful lot of emailing back and forth every time I had something new to show, from the rough version of the sculpture to the final version of the sculpture. Neil's sneakers have checkerboard patterns on them. And you can paint that on after the puppet is made, but it always looks like a painted on thing. And just the aesthetic that we were going for, we wanted to something that was going to end up looking cleaner and smoother. And so I ended up painting the paint job in the mold. It's like the character Neil does not have a nose or a mouth. And I think I initially was the one who suggested giving him a jaw anyway. And if I sculpted the rigid jaw inside the rubber in a way that made it easy to feel when you touched his face, you could still animate it. So if there was a scene where Neil needed to scream, his face could elongate and give the impression of the overall look as though there were a scream there, even though there was no mouth on his face to do it. Maybe 60% of the clients I've worked for, I've never met. You need a lot of trust to work exclusively over the internet. Noella was cool to work with. She's an artist director. I go to bed